Welcome to our conversation celebrating Women's History Month. My name is Betsy Meyers, and I'll be your moderator. I'm thrilled to be here with these 5 amazing women. This panel is one of a series hosted by ONEeXp and ONEeXp Power Girls. This month, they are hosting 4 of these discussions. This is the 3rd one, so that we can look at issues that support and celebrate women. Today, we are talking about leadership development, and specifically the leader of you. We are all the leader of our own life. And a key aspect of leadership is self-knowledge. And what we do around our learning about ourselves is so important to our lifelong learning around leadership. And one of the key pieces is authenticity, going towards ourselves and what brings us the most joy and energy. But the other part is also understanding the behaviors and beliefs we have about ourselves that aren't true. And what's wonderful about these kinds of events is creating the sisterhood and the female alliance and the community to have these kinds of conversations. So today in leadership development, we're going to actually be honing in on a specific aspect of leadership development, which is on resilience and how we handle change. Now, what do we know that we can always count on in life is change. And we know that sometimes life can trip us up and things happen, right? So economic downturns or a loss of a job or a career, industry changes, technology changes, divorce, death, loss of someone in your life that you love. Children's needs that change. What a 2-year-old needs might be different than what your teenager needs. Empty nest or priority shift due to family obligations or age or passion change. So it's not the obstacles that we face, it's how we turn those obstacles into opportunity or new adventures. So some of the words we're going to be talking about today are things like reinvention, rediscovery, rebrand, relaunch. And each one of our panel will be sharing an example of their life where they experienced resilience and reinvention. But the other key point today is that we're going to also learn from each of them kind of the lessons that they learned around their reinvention, their relaunch. You know, what were the tools and actions that they walked away so they could be able to share with you, the audience today, to be able to go out and say, oh my God, I got that lesson and I can do that in my own life. I myself have been through a reinvention as COVID changed a lot of our lives, didn't it? And in my business, the leadership business, which I've been in as an author and consultant and speaker, after COVID, my whole business was wiped off as nobody was doing in-person kinds of events or speeches. And so my business had to be reinvented to provide content over the virtual and the internet. So here we are today, right? This would have been maybe not happening 3 or 4 years ago. And look how we now can connect from all over the world to have these kinds of conversations. So there was a lot of pluses that happened as well in kind of looking at how we do leadership content differently. I think eventually we'll go back to doing more in person, and we're seeing some of that, but I think we'll never go back completely. And so those of us in the leadership field had to say, wait, we need to reimagine what our business will look like and reinvent ourselves and learning how to provide content via virtually. So some of the things I took away was that I had to remember was where was my community and what were other people doing? And so as lifelong learners, right, I had to kind of really study what other leadership people were doing that were ahead of me on this. And also, what I call 5-minute mentoring. The 5-minute mentor, I looked at people doing this work and called them and said, hey, do you have 10 minutes, 5 minutes to kind of share with me your wisdom on what you've learned as we go in a different direction in the leadership field? So those are 2 things that I really looked at in my reinvention, and I'm still reinventing as we discover how this leadership field is kind of turned on its head. But I've been thrilled to be part of working with ONEeXp and doing these kinds of events. So I'm super excited to turn it over to the panel because they have so much wisdom and experience. And just in our prep call, we had I learned a lot and left so energized just from us getting together to share. There's the one thing I want to say as we move into the panel. Female alliance is a really key part of leadership development. How we as women support each other, surround each other when good things are happening or when difficult things are happening. That is a key piece of what we're seeing today in leadership development is female alliance, female support, female community. So I'm honored to be part of this community, and I'm going to toss it over to Lucy to be our first panelist to share with us. Lucy, welcome.
Hello, everyone. Oh, I'm so honored to be here surrounded by these amazing, powerful, history-making women. My name is Lucy Quinones, and I am super proud to be a first-generation immigrant. I was born in the city of Medellin, Colombia. And you know what? Life has taken me through a lot of opportunities where I have had to find myself in the fork of the road and made the decision, do I throw in the towel or do I rediscover, reinvent, and redesign my life and just pick up the ashes, pick up the pieces. Sometimes our life is like a puzzle and then just move forward. And after being in real estate since the year 2000, and I have to say it has been the vehicle that God used to change my life. Today I have an amazing passion to utilize every lesson that I've learned to help other people through those moments of finding themselves walking through the valleys or the deserts of life. And, now I am proud to be part of the EXP family. I launched my business after transitioning after 20 years with a major franchise company where I grew and I learned and I was able to, just find that greatness that I never knew that I had. I was blessed with an amazing broker who became my mentor, my coach, and my business partner. But the time came where I had to take a leap of faith, and that was in the year 2020. We all know what happened in 2020, so it was the worst moment for me to do that. But EXP has really given me the wings that I was looking for to fly, and now I'm here surrounded with all of you that are part of ONEeXp, and where we have a mission to really make history together and inspire others to do what we're doing and reach for the stars, because now my business has gone international, boots on the ground for the last 18 months. And I'm really living the dream, but it's taken me through a lot of change and a lot of painful moments and a lot of birthing of my potential. And if, when we talk of birthing, it's painful. But then there's that glory moment of being able to say, wow, look where I am. And I'm super happy to be here with you guys. So that's a little bit about me in a nutshell. Thank you, Betsy.
Thank you, Lucy. Jess.
Hey, everyone. So glad to be here. I can share with you that even in the prep session with these ladies, they've inspired me since we've all been in the room together. I'm Jessica Nieto. I'm a real estate agent. I'm a real estate coach. I have the huge privilege of sitting as co-chair of ONEeXp, our diversity, equity, and inclusion group. And I can tell you that a little over a year ago, when I met Feed Gentry and some others in ONEeXp, and they invited me to come and help, I was excited just to be in the room and to be a doer. And throughout the last year, it's very interesting to look at the milestones of what we've accomplished together. And just at EXP Realty, the leaders that I've been able to rub shoulders with, the brand new agents that I've rubbed shoulders with, the little things that we pick up from every person in our human experience that changes the direction of the way we go. I was at an event yesterday in real life, and just even small conversations, you hear the things that have inspired others and the feedback that they have on their own personal experience of the event. And it's fascinating to me when you leave a day and you have that one thing that you think, wow, that is just that one little sentence that one person said that changed my whole mindset and the rest of my day and what I've been reflecting on and thinking of. So I like to say that I'm a constant student of life and my journey every single day. I've been in real estate, celebrated 10 years in February as a licensed real estate agent. When we were talking in our panel discussion about reinvention of our life, of course, as most women, we have that flood, that memory of so many iterations of us. I personally am currently in experiencing a transformation. in a very uncomfortable place in life, truly. And I share that pretty openly, and I'm very transparent about a lot of my journey and the things that I'm usually going through. Most people know, which I feel comfortable doing because I like to share it in a positive way, not so much the sad part or the challenging part or the complaining part. I hate hearing myself complain, but I love to be sharing what I'm going through and what I'm working on and how I'm moving in it and through it and on to the next thing that is my ultimate outcome. So I'm happy to be here with you all, have this conversation.
Thank you so much, Jess. That we're going to get back. We're going to circle back to what these important things that you guys are all saying. Now we're going to go over to Tiffany.
Hello, everyone. I'm Tiffany Everett, and I'm just really honored to be here with you amazing women. We've learned so much when we had our pre-conversations about resilience. And one of the things that definitely my story is one of resilience and perseverance and overcoming triumph. So when my son was born of hydrocephalus, I had to give up everything. I had to give up my college, my career, my apartment just to care for him. He was born with hydrocephalus. And if you've never heard of hydrocephalus, it's basically a buildup of fluid in the brain that can lead to a host of problems. And, you know, I was told that my son wouldn't walk or talk or live a normal life, but I refused to give up on him. It was a challenging time for me. It was filled with therapy sessions and hospital visits, but that's when I discovered my calling and my passion, which is to help other people. I decided then to start pursuing my real estate dreams, but I failed the exam. But after his condition stabilized, I decided I'm going to go back to college. I'm going to finish my degree. I'm going to go back to work. I got a job in the corporate world and loved it. But I still felt that passion to desire to do real estate. And I had a grandmother who was had been in the industry for over 30 years, and she was adamant about me getting that license, and she was really my cheerleader during the times. And every time I felt that, she said, "You can do it, you can do it." So I went back, and it was basically a reading dyslexia. You know, just have to try harder and to comprehend and to read. But I never gave up on my son. I never gave up on myself. And I felt that I could do this, right? So after 8 times, I went back and I tried it over and over and over again. And I finally passed that real estate exam. And realized the passion I'm like, what is the fastest way to be able to get information out there? What is the fastest way for people to hear a story or want to invest in real estate? And I realized the passion for social media was the quickest and the fastest way to be able to do that. So I learned that failure is not an obstacle. It's an opportunity to learn. It's an opportunity to grow. It's an opportunity to teach someone else and help them to get that much closer to their dreams and their goals. And so I'm happy to be a part of the Power Girls community. I'm a network here locally. And I'm just really happy to be here on this panel with you ladies. So thank you, Betsy.
Thank you so much, Tiffany. Deanna.
Hi, guys. I'm Deanna Dobson. I'm here in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and founder of EXP Military Network here at EXP, and 17-year realtor. And I guess my story kind of starts, and I think a lot of women, as high school. I am the daughter of an Army colonel, a very exacting and demanding Army colonel. And, failure wasn't an option. And I was expected to be, I was very young. I was an overachiever, and I had a lot of early success going through high school and into college, and then life hit. And, unexpected baby with my boyfriend of 7 years, and a marriage that didn't last another 7 years. And then, of course, just kind of reinventing myself all along the way. I mean, we've all had that. We had these great visions of our life. I mean, I literally had that 5-year, that 10-year plan. I knew exactly where I was going to be. And then bam, life hit. And I had to learn to pivot. And I think that was one of the most difficult things at first, especially first with having a baby early. And beautiful son, he now works with me in real estate. I'm blessed with that. But looking at life and realizing that the best laid plans, we all know, tend to get derailed by life. And how do you deal with the grief over that? Because there is a little bit of grief when you have to change this vision of what your life was going to be. And I think the biggest lesson I learned was you got to allow yourself to feel it or embrace the suck for a little bit, but only give yourself a little bit of time to do that and then power through. And decide really quickly, don't sit there and stall out because life threw you a hiccup. And I learned that. So embrace it for a little while, feel the pain, feel the grief, and then figure out what your next step is and just, drive into it. And the key to that really working for me was knowing what my next destination was and finding the people who were already there.
Yes.
And that was a really big lesson for me is finding mentors, whether it be men or women who have already acquired what my goals are and surround myself with them. And that helped me weather, my sons, my divorce, 9/11 happening. 9/11 completely changed our lives. And I would say, Jess brought this up, the different versions. I think I'm on DTD, version 15 now after, just reinventing myself again and pivoting. So that would be the best advice I get is embrace it, feel the pain, but, go straight into a new vision.
Love it. Thank you. Last but not least, Chalane.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me. First of all, I want to say that it's wonderful to see everyone's stories are so different of resilience, but they overlap so well. My name is Chalane Walls. I'm a real estate agent of 19 years. Recently moved over to EXP, a mother, a wife, and a public speaker as well as coach. We talk about this word resilience off and on, and it's becoming more and more prominent in our life. And maybe some of us use it, maybe some of us don't. Maybe we don't even really know what the word is, and oftentimes how to spell the word. So I like to focus my time and attention and energy on promoting resilience, what it looks like, what it feels like, and just touch on that to everyone. I feel like everyone has this resilience superpower within them, and it needs to be unleashed. And once you know and can understand resilience, then you really can tap into it, and that can help you navigate through your tough difficulties of life. So resilience has many meanings and resonates differently with people. But for me, it's the ability to withstand adversity and bounce back from difficult events in a timely manner. And that timely manner can be different to everyone. But as you had touched on, Deanna, it's allowing yourself to experience all of those emotions, those negative ones, those dark ones, the ones we put stigmas on, anxiety, depression, whatever it is. But allow yourself to go there. Just don't stay there. Because if we don't feel these emotions and acknowledge them, then how can we experience and feel the good ones, the ones that give us euphoria, happy, pleasure, the ability to move forward? So I feel like that is very important. Experience them all, feel them all, but just don't stay in those dark places. So we've all experienced resilience, whether it's in business, whether it's in relationships, in parenting, all you hit on every single point, I think, when you opened up. But, like you said, Deanna, COVID-19, any business owner had to be resilient, whether it was converting to online, staffing problems, technology problems. The list is endless. But for me, when I really figured out what resilience was, and prior to this, I didn't really use that word ever, is when I lost my husband suddenly to suicide. So at that moment, there was no way that I could take any time to really think. I had to shift into being resilient. Every decision, every power move, every bad move I made, there was a choice and there was a decision, and with that came resilience. So many people would say, "Oh, it was sink or swim. It was fight or flight." No, it was being resilient. It was taking that ability, that superpower within, to overcome adversity and bounce back from a difficult event. And let me tell you, there was many difficult events. There was many bad days, many bad hours, even weeks. But still, there was superpower within that I dug deep with the help of a community, support, allowed me to make those good decisions and move forward. Now, that's the cliff notes of my story, but I just didn't wake up and move from that. You have to dig deep. You have to be strong. You have to rely on your village, and your outlook is so important. Like you had just said, Deanna, you have to know your next destination. Even if you don't know it 100%, but you can see it, you can grasp it, that is really helpful. So my message today with resilience is that the power is yours. The choice is yours. You just got to do it. That is what has allowed me today to move from from having a real estate career for 19 years by myself, which 5 years ago I got remarried, started a new real estate team, rebranded with my husband, Jason Walls, who's also at EXP. And now I have this company that I've launched, Wall Street, that is designed to teach resilience, speak resilience, and preach resilience, and encourage everybody to go from surviving to thriving.
Wow. That is an amazing story. Just listening to you, first of all, I just want to say thank you for sharing that. Because, by us sharing those kinds of stories, right, it's really what we realize, wow, she could get through that. I can get through this, right? Because I think one of the things that I think you all touched on is how you were able to get unstuck. Because sometimes we get stuck. It happens, and then we have this belief about ourselves, and we get stuck in that, whatever that was, right? And so you all were able to unstick yourselves from a variety of ways. Super, super powerful. And I wonder, Chalane, when this happened to you, did you, this skill of resilience, this ability to kind of move forward, was this something that was part of your being, or did you develop it, kind of going through this process, this ability to bounce back and, look to the future?
At the time, Betsy, I didn't really know, but now as I've looked back, I can see, and I think so many people, if you reflect on your childhood and past years, there's moments in time when you had to be resilient all the time. Whether I came from like a good family, but we didn't have a lot of money, so it was trying to be resilient and trying to fit in with the kids that had all the things that I didn't have, and just those little things. But yes, being resilient after the passing of my husband is when I feel like I ignited that superpower that allowed me to be aware in situations and upcoming events that, hey, you know what? I can handle this. I can get through it. I'm going to feel all the feels, but I'm going to keep going one foot ahead of the other.
I love that. I think Betsy's a little frozen. I'll just add on to that I think part of resilience for me is sharing authentic stories with people around me as they're occurring. That's something that I had to learn in life, especially as a realtor who's really worked with investors for the most part, like sort of almost feeling like I'm in a corporate environment where I needed to not hide my story, but really just kind of show up online and everywhere else in a certain way, because otherwise I might be seen as someone that can't handle it, or I have too much going on, or, oh, you're going through it, so I'll give someone else this opportunity right now. Right? Everyone's shaking their heads. Yes. And so always wanting to have this image of, no, I got it. I'm never on vacation. I'm never gone. I'm always here. I think COVID kind of made that almost worse a little bit for me. Yeah. But at the same time, for COVID, for me personally, I decided to take that as an opportunity to learn and leverage knowledge a lot more about something that really I felt I had a lot more passion about than just selling real estate, learning more about me and and so in that, I think when you're sharing that authentic story, the feedback that you get from others is so powerful, right? That you kind of get stuck on it. You're addicted to it. I'm addicted to that.
But you know what it is though, you guys, is that it's that willingness to share, be vulnerable, to be your authentic self is what gives human connection.
Exactly.
That's what leadership is about. It's a human connection with other people. And so there's a whole concept of uncovering. It was a great study done by Deloitte several years ago, but it's about the ability to uncover who we are and not hide aspects of ourselves, that we lost a husband, that we lost a brother, that we're going through something. And other people can relate to that and surround you with love and care, as well as feeling connected to you that they've had a similar experience, or they know somebody who had a similar experience to that. So
I agree with that. I agree with that totally. I'd never lost a close relative like I just did, losing my brother, my younger brother. But I decided to give my my pain purpose. And luckily, I had just been through the Date with Destiny, and it had been 6 days that were very intense. But it started the preparation that I needed for that level of change and loss. And one of the things that I would tell myself as I was confronting that dark tunnel of permanent reality here on earth, right? It doesn't get more permanent than that. I'll never see him again. Was I am not my thoughts. I am not what I'm thinking. And, there is greatness on the inside of me. So as we speak about resilience, and I can totally relate to what Chalane was saying and Jessie was saying, when death is what we have to confront, it does to me, there's no bigger change than that, because that is permanent as long as we are in this physical realm. However, we have a decision to make. And what I decided to do was give the memory of my brother's life purpose. Mm-hmm. And so I started sharing my story, and it reminded me of what one of my coaches told me. The higher you go in leadership, the more you have to embrace humbleness, transparency, and vulnerability. And a lot of times we were taught that being vulnerable was a weakness, and being humble was a weakness, and being transparent, don't ever let them see you sweat, fake it till you make it. But I believe, as we have all shared, and you were saying, Betsy, is when we take that step and we step up and we say, I'm going to be vulnerable, I am going to be transparent, I'm going to humanize myself for all those people that think that my life is perfect and that I have no feelings, right? Because the tougher we are, the more people think our life is perfect and we don't go through pain. And that is when I started getting the most comments of people telling me how they were being touched and inspired by the fact that I had to continue moving forward, living up to my responsibilities in life as a businesswoman, as an international conference leader, where I had to pick up the pieces. I had to rise up from the ashes, and I had to, just take my responsibility and show people that, look, I'm here because I love you, I care for you, and I'm committed to changing your life, even though on the inside, I am broken. I am totally broken. And it was there that I realized what Tony Robbins had been teaching me, is that I am the voice. I will lead and not follow. I will believe and not doubt. And I am not my thoughts. My thoughts of grief do not define me. I'm going to give my thoughts of grief a new definition. And to me, that has been the biggest test of resilience in my life.
Yes.
Yeah,
wow.
Very much so.
Tiffany was amazing in her willingness to share about her son and her own journey. You also, Tiffany, thank you for sharing that, because you shared something very intimate of yourself and your struggles that you went through personally. And so tell us more about that. How did you, when you found out about your son, and then how did you kind of get through that period of your life, and what were the tools?
So basically, I found out in utero, right, that it was expected that he would be different. And so I said, well, that just means that I've been chosen for something greater, right? When we talk about turning your pain into purpose, I said what Lucy was just saying. I said, okay, well, that just means that I have been given a responsibility that's so much greater than what I'm actually going through. And so one of the things that was important was resources, right? Seeking out resources, seeking out people who were actually also maybe going through something similar, which I didn't find until a lot recently. So during that time, it was just my faith that kept me grounded, knowing that my purpose was greater than what I was experiencing. So one of the things that I did do is later I started hiring coaches, so that I can learn and tell my story, so that I can help other people, finding out where my areas of weaknesses were and strengthening those areas. So instead of focusing so much on what was happening there, I said, what can I do with this to be able to help other people? How can I help someone else that may be going through single parenting, homeschooling, working full time, having a desire to want to do real estate, and all of these different things that's going on? How can I redirect and shift the things that I may be going through to be able to help other people? So instead of focusing on the situation at hand, I focused on how I can help other people, how I can help them pursue a house, how I can help other people show up with confidence on camera and create their social media. So I just basically take that, what I'm going through, as a calling, so to speak, or that's what I've been created to do. That's my purpose, is to be able to help someone else to overcome.
You and Lucy both really addressed this, as Chalane did too, about putting purpose to your pain, making meaning of it in a way that'll help other people. And that is a really important, I think Jess and Deanna, you also have touched on this.
I mean, very much so. One of the things I think a gift later in life is, as I was able to learn that tragedy or adversity or loss, it's put in your path for a reason. And I, for many years, had been a real loner and never had girlfriends, it was just me, my focus, whatever. And I had a very dear friend of mine who had always tried to get me to break out of that cycle, who got diagnosed with cancer. And she was diagnosed in like September, gone by April. And I got to watch her, and she gave me the gift of being on that journey with her. And this is kind of painful, but we lost her so quick. And the aunts, I realized she taught me that I needed those friends. I needed to be more vulnerable. I needed to ask for help, because I asked her, she used her cancer as a test. Who really cared about her? And it was like, this was not the thing to do at this time. You needed to open up the world and give people that chance to be with you. And so I got to see what I probably would have done without that lesson. Right. And when we lost her, I realized her gift was to teach me to embrace my friends, embrace women, embrace my vulnerability. But she also prepared me for literally 2 months down the road, the impending loss of my own parents. And it was like her loss was that training ground for me. That was the gift that she gave me in life, and was to give me the friendship, but prepare me for caring and for the last couple of months of my parents' lives. And so when you see that tragedy or that loss, sometimes you need to step back and say, what's the gift? What am I being given by this opportunity? And see that more as a gift and not technically something that's negative in your world, because those things also give you that laser focus. I'm sure all of you, when you face all of those things, you got so laser focused on what had to be done, right, to get through to the other side. And those are all gifts that these things bring you.
Oh, absolutely. It's all how we look at it, right? It's like you could take the same situation and look at it as this happened to me or it happened for me.
Yes.
For me, for the gifts that come from it, right? And growing as a human being. Because that's where we want, and how we can unstick ourselves, right? Because we all know, and we've all been there, right? Where we're down in that pit, and it's like, why me? Why this happened to me? Kind of stuff. But then if you can reach up, Jess, you had talked about kind of going to a conference and having those moments where somebody just says something that inspires you, right? So talk a little bit about those moments. It's kind of like what we were talking about, the 1 minute mentor, right? Those moments that they don't even realize that they're giving you a piece of advice that sticks with you. And sometimes that advice can stick with you for years.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, I think for me too, just to touch on my story a little bit is I, like Deanna had said, always focus, like always alone, always being so autonomous and always, being the only one in my work. And then coming to EXP Realty certainly has changed that for me in terms of being surrounded by people that want to lift me up and want to open up their playbooks or their hearts, and truly have turned into so many friends. So what I try to do is, connect with someone in an authentic way each time. And I think a key thing to keep in mind is to just ask really good questions. And if you're not asking enough questions, you're never really going to get to know people around you. I love to share my story. In fact, I don't think I shared enough in the beginning now that I heard you all, but I was so many things running in my mind about it. But asking really good questions has been something that I've gotten so much better at. And also not necessarily just to learn something about someone, but to maybe help them change their perspective or consider a different perspective that they might have internally. And they just need someone to help pull it out of them a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
What else can we do about that?
Yeah.
And giving people a little bit of grace when you think they're wrong, right? When someone is just in your mind so wrong, and you want to tell them that they're wrong rather than telling them that they're wrong. You don't have to agree with them. If you don't agree with them, I don't suggest agreeing with them, but, learning to just acknowledge them and say, I can see why you might feel that way. I kind of see it from a different perspective. What if we did this? And learning how to have those better conversations by being respectful, being encouraging, being supportive, but then helping draw something out of them or pouring into them in a way that they're learning, that you're learning together. I think has been for me one of the biggest key things in being a leader and learning how to be a better leader. So,
I think what you're talking about is the gift of curiosity.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
I'm
very curious. So somewhat, some people call it nosy, but it's curious.
It's that whole aspect of the willingness to be interested in other people makes you interesting, right? Because you're curious and you don't know. That's the new leadership model today. Leaders don't have all the answers, but they're curious to ask the right questions with the people around them.
And tell people how you feel, right, Betsy? Yeah. I got better at that too. I mean, it's okay to tell people that you love them, that you care about them, that they inspire you, that you look up to them. Don't be afraid to tell people how you feel. Because if you also tell them how you feel, then I can't believe the reactions that you get from people when you're really honest about how you feel about them, right?
Well, what's interesting is that all my research in my book is around leadership creates a feeling. And it's a whole, this has been kind of the conversation in the leadership field, which is when people feel valued, cared about, heard, connected, they connect and do their best work. And so they can be themselves, right? And so that's where we're kind of moving to. And you are all modeling this in this panel in such an incredibly beautiful way. Chalane, did you have anything you wanted to add on this?
Sure. You guys were just talking about emotions and being raw and transparent. Jessica, you touch on it quite a bit, telling your story. I'm much the same. Like I said, our stories overlap. If my company, I developed my whole company around this slogan, real, raw, relatable. And so if you're real, like you said, authentic, and you're raw and you talk about the things that people don't always want to talk about, but they're thinking, then you're relatable. And if you can be relatable, then you can inspire someone's drive to thrive. And that is where we're turning our pain into purpose, and we can empower other individuals to make it to that next step.
Right. That's absolutely right. You guys, this is a common theme in this panel, which is really a fantastic, beautiful way of what leadership has evolved to. Right. And Lucy had talked about birthing my potential. Yes. And I wanted to circle back to that because I think a lot of people who are listening, it's like, how do I, all these successful, women here that are talking of EXP realtors and own businesses and everything, how do I get there? How do I birth my potential? And so I just want to throw that out to anyone who wants to grab it. What are some action steps?
I'll read it. I'll share with that. I think that life prepares us for those defining moments. now that I look back, I realize how every good, bad, ugly situation that I've ever lived has brought me to that moment where I've had to make a decision. Do I stop here or do I keep going? And as I was hearing all your stories, and each of you are so powerful, and I was thinking of, the power that we have to be the lighthouse for others. I remember in 2011 when I was surviving the worst market crash, never had been in a market crash before, and oh my gosh, I wanted to make it so bad, but I felt so lost. I felt I was out in an open ocean. Luckily, I had my partner and mentor and broker from day one that was, leading me through the way. And in 2011, I had this inspiration that one day I'm going to be the lighthouse for many real estate agents in my community. Well, that comes with a responsibility. And being in that ocean and becoming that lighthouse that we all have the potential to be is going to require of us lessons that we have to go through so that the diamond that we really are from the inside out starts to go through the pressure, starts to go through the evolving of becoming from that piece of charcoal, the diamond that we really are on the inside. It brings out of us the brilliance that we don't even know we have, the strength that we don't even know we have, and the resilience. For me, resilience is, blind faith, just believing so hardcore that, there is a better tomorrow for me, believing that God can dream bigger dreams for me that I can never dream for myself, but understanding that it's going to be a transition. It's going to take me having to die to my, current self to meet the better self that I know in my heart of hearts exists within me. And that is where the resilience is needed. It's letting go from my familiar, moment, and willing to go through that pain to grab onto something that I still cannot see. I still cannot feel. I don't know what it looks like, but there's just something on the inside of me that tells me that there is a better me that I need to meet. And that gap, that space in between where I am and where I'm going, it's so painful. But, there's always that reward. And I feel that meeting that better version of ourselves is the reward to resilience. And resilience is having that blind faith that there is a better version of me. And I don't know how, I don't know when, I don't know where, I don't know with who, but I am going to set out into an unfamiliar path, and I'm going to find me. I'm going to find that better version of myself.
So taking risks. Okay. Anyone want to jump in on this? Taking risks is a really important part because risk can mean failure.
Yeah.
I'll say the one word.
Right.
Yeah. I'll say the quick version is doing it scared and saying
Doing it scared. Yeah.
like the balance too of saying yes, but respecting your time, protecting your energy, everything you can leverage. Like you've got to protect it, but you have to say yes. Yeah. For me, it's like focusing on the one thing for when you're scared, right? You're scared and you're in that space of vulnerability and doing something new. I focus on the one thing. For speaking on stage, for me, the very first time with a big audience, I was focused on, I don't want to appear scared. I don't want to appear to be scared. And somehow I pulled that off. And then the next time this time I want to have fun. So I had fun. And now I'm just focused on bringing more value, right? How about you, Deanna?
Yeah, my thing of risk for me recently, I'm 55 and I've, from, being the Army brat and Colonel's kid and everything, and all these different things that have happened to me in life in terms of expectations of what I think are of me, right? Mm-hmm. And we spend so much time letting life and other people define the expectations of ourselves. And I think one of the things for risk right now is letting go of that. And for once in my life, trying to focus on listening to me and my heart and my soul and what is going, because I'm like 55. And if you've ever done the countdown clock of really how many more times do you have with people, how many more times you have with your children or your parents, or how many more vacations you have, when I start looking at that, I'm like, okay, why am I spending so much time on being driven by the expectations of others? What am I going to do? What risk am I going to take now to just start listening to myself and how the next 25 to 30 years are really going to feed my soul and enrich me, not just serve those around me, like my husband and my children and my friends and my parents. So that's my new risk right now is being able to let go of what I think people's expectations are of me and stop doing those things and be okay with the result.
Beautifully said. Jess, do you want us to add into that?
No, I'm just nodding my head and, being okay with the result.
That's the hard part, is that result. And maybe people saying, well, you're not who I thought you were. You're not doing for me what I thought you should be doing. That's a hard thing that I'm trying to embrace right now, is taking care of me. And I haven't done that in 35 years.
And what you're just talking about modeling here is the ability to say no. Because saying no for women can be for us women, many of us, is very hard, because we say yes to lots of things and then get back to Jessica's one thing, right? We get clogged up in things that don't matter as much, and we forget about and don't have time for the one thing that makes us our best, happiest self and what gives us the most energy. Thank you for that.
I wanted to just say that anytime we start something new, we always, whether we started it, whether we were a mom for one day, a realtor for one day, starting college for one day, we say, oh, I'm a mom, I'm a college student, I'm a realtor. We get that sense of imposter syndrome. Are we actually, in fact, or are we just saying that? So we need to just push that word aside, that phrase aside, and just really focus on what you said, you, and doing what you do, what you believe in.
Powerful.
What about you?
I would say taking risk is, like, for me, I had gotten so used to working from home and homeschooling, and that was, taking my son here or taking my son there. So I had gotten used to that. So for me, risk is doing something different, doing something that takes you outside of your comfort zone. I decided to attend my first 10X Grant Cardone event just to get around people who were like-minded thinkers when it came to business. I joined EXP Realties for community, and being able to connect with other women in our group here. And so I think that taking risk is doing something that makes you nervous, makes you uncomfortable, because I think when you're in your comfort zone, you can't grow. But when you step outside of that comfort zone, then you can get yourself in front of the people who need to hear your voice. You can get yourself in front of your clients, your potential clients. You can find your potential audience. You can find the people who need your services the most. But if you're constantly just doing the same things over and over and over again, they talk about expecting something different, right? Expecting something to change is not going to. It takes us to make that change or take that leap of faith and do something different and put ourselves into a position that's going to, like right now, have so many different people watching us, or having you to tell your story and you're being vulnerable about that, or being able to, like you were saying, Betsy, write a book. There's people that want to do that, but they're afraid. They may have nervousness, or they may not have the resources that they need to do in order to make that dream come true, or to be able to accomplish that goal. So when I think of taking risk, I think of being able to find that thing that scares you the most and do it.
Yes, definitely. Eleanor Roosevelt, one of my favorite quotes, she used to say, do the thing that you fear most, ... because that's your lesson, which I love. So we have a question from the audience that I think would be really fantastic for each of you to touch on quickly. What steps did you take to navigate through these adversities to become the leaders you are today? So if each of you, just one action step, if you would touch on, if you go back to your former self, what was the one action step that you would, give someone listening, if you were their mentor, one action step?
I can take this one first. For me, it was reevaluating my core values, questioning where they came from, removing a few of them that were in conflict with each other and redefining what they really were. And when that becomes clear, and I do that activity every quarter or sometimes more often, sometimes not as often as I should. But when you really redefine those, it's like a muscle, and you can reflexively make quick decisions and have, you can make quicker decisions and get where you're trying to go faster. Say yes and no to the right things.
Thank you.
What I would say for me, it has been seeking clarity of exactly what is my intention, and then how am I going to premeditatedly accomplish that? So when I sit with myself, sit in quietness, whether it's meditate, pray, ask myself questions, the answer is really within us. And so a lot of times we're out there seeking everyone's approval, we're seeking everyone's direction, we're seeking everyone's opinion, when the answer is really within. And so when I've sat with myself and I've asked myself, what am I to do now? The answer comes from within, because we are greater. We are so powerful from the inside out. Our spirit, our soul has all the answers that we need. So seeking clarity has been the answer for me.
Seeking clarity. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Lucy, you're right. I think, mine's kind of twofold. A little bit about what Lucy says is, a lot of times when you hit the loss, the tragedy, the adversity, there's anger, and there's nothing wrong with anger, but you need to put it aside, put it in a box first, and then take the time after you've, focused and learned and talked to people, take time to just be alone in your thoughts and listen, because the answer is going to come through. And then once you've got that answer and direction, use the anger for fuel, but channel it the right way. Don't let it, take you off in the wrong direction, but listen to your heart, listen to your soul, define your direction, and then fuel it with your anger and fear, but the right way.
Tiffany or Chalane, anything to add?
Yeah, I would say the action step that I took was finding community. We can't do this on our own. We can't think that we're on an island, because we're not. We weren't designed to try to do this alone. And there's other people out here that is going through the same exact things. And so I would say finding community of like-minded people that can help you to get that much closer to the goals that you have, rather that be in your rather that be in your personal business or your professional business, wherever that may be. It's being able to connect with other people who can support you, who can perhaps give you some guidance, seeking out mentors that can lead you and guide you. And for me, that was like major in my life, was having a form of community. So I would say that if you feel like you're on an island, you feel like there's no one that understands, that there are people who sincerely understand and who sincerely want to help you to get to that next level.
That is fantastic, that you community and mentorship, because we haven't really touched on that enough. Mentorship is such an important, we talked about this in our conversation, that there was a study by LinkedIn that talked about people who'd never been a mentor. What was the reason why? And 67% said because no one had asked them to be a mentor. So those of you that out there that are listening that don't have a mentor, find someone that you admire, someone that has been successful in an area that you want to do better in, and ask them. And it doesn't have to be a long-term mentorship relationship. It can be what we call the 5-minute mentor, the spot mentoring, which is, do you have time for a cup of coffee? Do you have time for a quick conversation? I'm struggling with this idea, or want your input. Chalane.
I just wanted, much like Jessica, don't stay authentic to yourself. Don't lose sight of who you are, what you are, and where you want to be, because where you want to be is what's going to be your driving force to get you through your difficult time.
Yeah. And I just want to add too, Betsy, you've been such an influence to everyone here at EXP. We've had some great opportunities to be with you, and you have so much to share. And can you share a little bit, a couple of your own tips as well?
Well,
for-
yes, what my tips are the mentorship, because for me, the going inside is important, but sometimes you need that little extra support, someone who sees something in you that you didn't see in yourself. Right. And that's that. So to find those people who are your truth tellers, but also will give you the support, the confidence, the new perspective on whatever you're struggling with. Right. And so I've been that's for me, the mentorship is the biggest thing. And then, as Tiffany said, finding community. So in any position I've had, in every role, I try to surround myself with people who are doing similar things that I'm doing. So in the leadership field, I have a cadre of authors and leadership experts that I communicate with and keep up with on a regular basis, so that we can teach each other. What are you seeing? What's changing? What's your pricing model? How are you dealing with this virtual, leadership content delivery model? And that keeps, for those of us, because it can be lonely. Leadership can be lonely. And so, right.
Yeah, and being the sum of the 5 people you're around the most, or I think we could say that in every call and every conversation that you have, and it's still so relevant everywhere.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. So you guys, we have 3 minutes left, and we could keep going. I feel like we're just scraping the surface of our conversation. So I want to give you each 30 seconds to any last thought you have for someone in the audience who is dreaming big, who is struggling, and they're looking at you, and you have one piece of advice on top of what you just already shared. That was fabulous. One action step.
I'll start it. Give yourself permission. Give yourself permission to just do the things that you have been wanting to do. Don't wait for courage. Don't wait for confidence. Don't wait for approval, because the moment you take action, doors are going to start opening. People are going to show up. The people that you're looking for are looking for you. And a lot of times we just stop and wait, and there's nothing to stop and wait for. So give yourself permission, put one foot in front of the other, and everything will shift in your favor.
Energy gets energy. That's a great. Who else?
I would say take action.
Yep.
We can think about it. We can write it down. We can dream about it. But it's when you actually take action and do something, oh my goodness. That is when you see progress. That is when you see yourself going to that next level, achieving your financial goals, achieving successes. Fear is one of those things that can stop us from moving forward. But even through that fear that you may have in your stomach or in your head, or something that someone told you that you weren't good enough, you could never do this, or whatever the case may be, is when you step outside of that and actually take action, is when you get closer to your dreams. So I would say, regardless of what curveballs come your way, regardless of what situations that you may have in your life, trials and tribulations, never stop taking action and never give up.
Love it. Thank you, Tiffany.
I love that. I'll add to that one, Tiffany, is to inspect what you expect with everything that you do, and just try to analyze whether or not you're expecting enough, or if you're dreaming big enough about what could be possible. So I
love that. Inspect what you expect.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Deanna?
I would say for me, and most recently, is be honest of where your growth opportunities are. Acknowledge that you're a student still. And when you acknowledge that you have some growth opportunities, the teachers are going to start to appear in your world, because you've let the universe know that. And Jessica doesn't know this. She's one of the teachers that appeared in my world, because I became more knowledgeable about what I needed. So just be honest with where your growth opportunities are, be vulnerable, let people know, and the teachers are and the mentors will appear in your world.
I love it. So true. Chalane?
I would say just stay true to who you are and stay passionate in your dream. And then something that really helped me, which sums up everything you all have said, is that book Steve Harvey has written called Jump, that read it, write notes, sticky tab it, keep it as your Bible. It is everything we've talked about. And then that's just one more person that has said it's okay to do what you want to do. It's okay to fail. It's okay to start again.
Fantastic. Well, I'll leave you guys with one last thought, that don't forget it's okay to ask for help, right? It's okay to ask for help and receive help, right? And the other is to know that you're enough out there, that you're enough, you deserve, you're worthy to have all of your dreams come true. So great input today from the panel. Thank you all so much. And Jess, do you want to have any closing thoughts as the ONEeXp?
No, thank you for being here with us, Betsy. Thank you, ladies, audience. We will see you next Wednesday for our 4th event of the series. And thank you for being here. Go be great. Bye, ladies.